what is the connection of Indian freedom with great patriot and freedom fighter Swatantryaveer Savarkar. Really a question in many people's mind. We are going to find the answer here in this all discussion. First thing, during First World War, or rather prior to First World War, around before 1910 only, this freedom fighter Savarkar was planning the way we should get freedom. That is, there should be revolution within the country, as well as from outside also we should get help. Who is going to help you from outside? Answer is enemy's enemy will certainly help you. Our enemy at that time were Britishers, and their enemy, anyway, why I am saying at that time, because now I am speaking with you in English. I am wearing out all that clothes style and all that with English style only. But at that time we were considering them as our enemy, and their enemies were Germans. And so he established connections with Germans at that time. But unfortunately, he was arrested prior to World War, and he was sent to lifetime imprisonment twice. That is 50 years punishment was given to him. And then one of his disciples, member of Abhinav Bharat, named as Lala Hardayala, he managed to escape, and he went to Canada and America in those days and started out a movement that is called as Dadar movement. A plan was made at that time for Indian freedom, that the weapons were provided to certain parts in India, that is Punjab territory in those days. They will carry out revolution within the country, and from outside German will help. Something plan was like that. Kaiser William II sent out a ship named as Amden that was full of weapons. But this plan was opened out by Britishers in those days. Vishnu Ganesh Pingle is the name of person, around 23-22 years old, youngster from Maharashtra. He was leading out from Punjab at that time with help of Kartar Singh Saraf and many other people. They were imprisoned by Britishers, and around 5,000 people in those days were punished by Britishers. Vishnu Ganesh Pingle and Kartar Singh Saraf were hanged out. The plan was unsuccessful. This plan was during First World War. Even Amden tried to rescue revolutionists from Andaman Island unsuccessfully. But the efforts were important. The plan was there, was set out, maybe possible by Savarkar prior to World War. But you are aware that he was arrested in 1910 and World War broke out in 1914. And from Andaman, he was having only facility to send one letter, that is also censored by team, and then one letter in a year. So it is very difficult to guess that there was certain communication from Savarkar with these all activities. But in Second World War, during that period, Savarkar was free. At that time, when Britishers were badly needed Indian army, Savarkar started recruiting this army. He said, come on, join army now. So when he was carrying out revolutionary work, for getting only a single bullet in house, Britishers were torturing them a lot. Weapon, tremendous torture. And now these Britishers are teaching you how to use bullets, weapons, not only guns and rifles, but advanced war weapons. And so, come on, join Indian army. Like that, Savarkar started propaganda to join Indian army. His idea was, first go in the army. Say ultimately, it is the army that can control entire situation. Keep in mind, British Raj in those days was called as a garrison state. That means based on army. Army was used for internal purpose only, many times. No doubt from external protection also, but from internal purpose, army was used. And now, Britishers are only recruiting to very great extent. And Congress simply refused, because war means violence, and how a preacher of non-violence can propagate for war? No. But Savarkar said, yes, join army. Hitler at that time was carrying out tremendous attacks on British army. But he was also giving continuous warning to Britishers that why you are fighting with us? Go to your colonies, protect your colonies, otherwise they will perish out from your empire. But Britishers were decided to defeat Hitler at any cost. That any cost means freedom of their colonies. Because of these efforts carried out by Savarkar at that time, many youngsters joined British army. That means Indian army, but actually they helped for British. They got experience in war. So ultimately, this experience, the practical experience is really important. What was the idea of Savarkar at that time? That first learn how to use a gun. Then you can turn its aim to your desired enemy. But first learn how to use weapon. This newly joined army was used by Britishers. World War was really, Second World War was really a world war. Japan also involved in war at that time. There was conflict in Congress. Sorry, I should say there were conflicts in Congress from early days only. That means there were conflicts between Lokmanya Tilak and Justice Ranade at that time. Then there was conflicts in Congress between moderate and extremist. You are aware of that all part. Now there was conflict in Congress between Subhash Chandra Bose, a real freedom struggles hero, and High Command. You can guess who was the High Command at that time. But some conflicts were there, and ultimately Subhash Babu left out Congress. Or he was removed from Congress, suspended from Congress, whatever you can think. He started a party that is called as Forward Bloc. Then he came to Mumbai. In those days it was called as Bombay. To discuss about problem of Pakistan with Barrister Jinnah. But Barrister Jinnah asked him certain questions. From whom you are coming here to discuss with me? From Congress, but you are not a member of Congress. From Hindu side, then go to leader of Hindus, that is Swatantryaveer Savarkar. And then Subhash Babu came to Savarkar. Swatantryaveer Savarkar was staying at Dadar at that time in Mumbai. There was a meeting between Subhash Chandra Bose and Savarkar. And then Savarkar asked him that don't carry out any activity in India. Rather than that, go to Germany. Hitler will help us. At that time, I must tell another name here. I am considering him as the most successful revolutionary, armed revolutionist in India. His name is Rashtriya Bose. He was involved in Kakori conspiracy. He was involved in the action where Lord Hardinge, Viceroy of India, when he was shifting out his capital from Calcutta, now Kolkata, but in those days Calcutta, to Delhi, New Delhi. And at that time, Rashtriya Bose was involved in the activity where Hardinge was targeted by a bomb. But he was neither arrested by Britishers and nor executed or not committed suicide. He simply escaped from India and went to Japan. He was there in Japan. Actual name of that country is Nippon, but in English we are calling him that country as Japan. He escaped to Japan. There was communication between Rashtriya Bose and Savarkar. Savarkar explained Subhash Babu at that time. This was a scene when Japan was not involved in war. But he said that just now I got a letter from Rashtriya Bose. He said that Japan is likely taking part in war and that will be helpful for us. So right now you go to Germany, take help of Hitler. Subhash Babu also accepted this thing, but first he went to Bengal, and then from that he was actually arrested by Britishers, but he managed to escape and he reached in Germany. He was having words with Hitler. Hitler considered him as President of India. And with German submarine, he sent to Japan because Hitler was in Russia at that time. He said it will take long time for me to reach till India, but Japan will soon reach till India. Japan is our friend. Our means what? German's friend. Japan will surely help you. Till that, Subhash Babu was allowed to deliver speech from German radio first. Subhash Babu appealed Indians to carry out revolution within the nation, and from outside he was planning to come. There was war between British army and Japanese army there at Singapore, where around 80,000 Indian soldiers were arrested by Japan. But Japanese people didn't torture them because from Japan, India is an important nation. The principle of Japan was Asia for Asians people. Like that some principle. Again, Japanese people are following religion that is called as Buddhism. And Lord Buddha was there from India. You can say from Nepal, but he was from India because Nepal was part of India at that time. And then the simple thing is that Rashtriya Bose was there to guide these Indian soldiers, and organization was set out that is called as Indian National Army. In Hindi we are calling it as Azad Hind Sena. Rashtriya Bose established this. Until that, Subhash Babu reached at Japan, from that Singapore, and then this Indian National Army was led by Subhash Babu. The plan, you can check out again the plan, that we had to carry out revolution within India and from outside somebody will carry out attack. and that was achieved practically by Subhash Babu Bose. They conquered Andaman and Nicobar Islands, but they conquered Myanmar also. At that time, Myanmar was not part of India. Myanmar means Brahmadesh or Burma at that time. Just according to Act of 1935, that was separated from India. So we are not saying they conquered India, but they conquered Myanmar. At Battle of Imphal, Indian National Army was defeated. Subhash Babu was declared as dead in plane crash. But the threat was given to Britishers that there is no all well in British Army. British Army is ready to fight with British people. That means Indian Army, not British, but British-led Indian Army is ready to fight with British people, British government. And that is the important thing achieved by all these armed revolutionists. Plan was maybe possible, you can say, that is of Swatantryaveer Savarkar. Then also there was unrest. This is not only one case. After end of war, that means in 1945 war ended, but then also there was unrest in Indian Army. Rebellions were carried out in Indian Army, and that is the important thing, because why we got freedom? If at all I want to follow Britishers for this freedom, then what British Prime Minister explained in Parliament, why we are going to deliver this freedom to India? Number one, Indian Army is no more loyal with Britishers. Get idea? This is the first important cause. And second, he said, we are not in, now we are not in position to send European army in India. Therefore, we want to give freedom to India. Alright, I hope that everything is clear for you from this all. I am not going to open out each and every sentence or each and every word, but you are quite sharp to get meaning of that why we got freedom and who is real hero or who are the real heroes behind this freedom.